Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Geekscape page. I am your host, Katie. I am here with the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast, and we've got a great show today. Let me introduce my co-host and awesome person all around, Marie.
Hi.
Hello.
Yes.
Thank you all for joining us. And those of you coming in either in between late or whenever we're starting this, we're so excited to have you all here. If you need to ask any questions, please use the chat to do so. We are live on the Geekscape pages. Very excited to have you all, and most excited of everything to have our special guest here today, the one, the only, Jenae Thompson. Round of applause.
Nobody does that anymore, but I do.
The Montel.
Hello.
Marie, I believe, may have frozen a little bit, but Marie, if you are there, do me a favor and give us a little refresh, and we'll bring you back in once you're back up and running. It happens to the best of us. It's always internet.
Always.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Who knows? But we'll get you back in here once that gets rolling. She is refreshing at the moment. But Jenae, how are you?
Hi, I'm well. I got my little morning walk in. I'm supremely caffeinated.
There it is. Heck yeah. I did the full pot of coffee, and then I moved on to tea because I need to bring it down and not do so much caffeine.
Same, actually. This is I'm a Trader Joe's. I'm a Joe's and Ho's. And I had never had their spice chai concentrate before.
Ooh, I have not had that either. What kind of milk are you working with this one?
I'm using their pumpkin oat beverage.
Ooh.
So I made a pumpkin spice chai.
I'm not gonna lie, that sounds amazing. Oh, I freaking love
it. And it is. As soon as this goes off, I'm gonna be like,
for those of you who aren't familiar with us, we are the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast. We talk to real life people going through real life drama in real time. Thank you so much for joining us here today. One of our favorite guests on the show was Jenae Thompson of the SayQuoi business. And do you mind just telling everybody what it is SayQuoi does?
Absolutely. So SayQuoi LLC is my baby, my brainchild. Currently, it has three active branches. The parent branch is social media and branding. So I am a content coach. I coach people, high-level execs, entrepreneurs, and multi-hyphenate creatives through how to create content that supports their big picture, whether they're selling something, whether they're affiliate marketers, what have you. And I also do social media management. So I create content and I help people's pages run, as seamlessly as possible. The secondary branch of SayQuoi is SayQuoi Cares. So that's an annual drive that I put together where we assemble bags of goods and food and handwritten messages of hope and all really good stuff from donations from the public. And we go and distribute those bags. We've gone to Skid Row every year thus far. So next year I'm like, do we go back? We'll fix, mix it up. But that's SayQuoi Cares. And then I just started Advice Hill. Advice Hill is the life and transformation. Life. It's all this caffeine. Suddenly I'm Carol Channing. Whom I love. Advice Hill is the life and transformation coaching branch of SayQuoi. So my ultimate mission really is to help people with transformation from the inside out. I think there's a lot of emphasis on aesthetics, especially with social media and everything being at everyone's fingertips all the time. But if you can be as authentic as possible and show up in these spaces, so much can happen for you and for your businesses and your brands. So I like to be a part of that. I like to, transformation from the inside out is my overall mission with SayQuoi.
And is there anything that you find that provides a little pushback? I mean, I know for us, like one of our things with our podcast is that we want to meet everybody at the most authentic level of where they're at the moment. Do you find any pushback, especially in social media, about true authenticity?
Yes. I mean, I don't know that I would call it pushback, though. I think ultimately it's just a lack of information or like a lack of knowledge. A lot of people see that social media works, but they don't know how it works, and they don't understand that it's a much longer game than you may think.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I want to show up authentically, but I also want to do it right here, right now. I want this video to have 100 million views tomorrow. And it's like, baby, like there's so much that goes into that. No one knows who you are yet. You know, do you know who you are? That's another thing. If I were to say I get pushback on, is people want all of these results and they want the well-oiled machine, but they don't realize that it's all based off of how well you know yourself and how well you know your business. You know, your social media content can only be as good and as strong as your overall business plan. You know, I make magic, but I'm not a magician. So
Well, and that leads me to some of our first couple questions here, especially just in what it is that you're trying to do overall. A lot of people had some great questions just about what it is a life coach does. So especially with Advice Hill being this new product that people can engage with and can conduct services through you, what exactly is it that you do as a life coach?
Sure. So I like to locate the issue. Do you all watch How I Met Your Mother?
Oh,
Do you
yeah.
remember Lily would be like, "Where's the poop, Robin?" That's the big question. It's like, where's the poop? We see what your goal is. What is the blockage that is keeping you from attaining that and from growing that and from growing from there? So as a life coach, I pinpoint, you know, what the person actually wants out of what they're doing and where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
What are the things that maybe they don't recognize are holding them back? And we
Okay.
kind of peel the layers back on that thing to see
Yeah.
if this thing still makes sense.
Yeah. And how is that with people? Because I know that especially in like asking folks like what are your questions about a life coach? Like what would you ask? There was a little bit of pushback, and there were some people that were actually very vulnerable with us, which I'm very excited to get into. What is it that you find is a benefit of a therapist versus a life coach?
Sure. The largest benefit I feel is the focus. And that's ultimately, I think, the biggest difference between a therapist and a life coach is the focus. So with therapy, the focus is on your mental health. It's like science based. This is what's actually going on in your brain. The spark plugs are going off and it's causing all types of behaviors and reactions. And a lot of it is based off of triggers and experiences and things that built you up from a child, from your childhood. As a life coach or life coaches can go that deep, but our objective is not necessarily to connect any type of disorder or trauma or anything like that to the behavior. Our objective mostly is your goal. How is what's going on that side affecting the goal? Does that make sense?
It does. No,
Okay.
it does. It
Yeah.
makes a lot of sense. And what are like some typical goals that people are trying to achieve through life coaching?
I hear a lot people wanting to grow their businesses,
Mm.
people wanting to kind of come out of their shell more, especially now. It's like if you have a business at some point in time, you're going to be on camera. Like everybody's a content creator, and a lot of people do not want to actually show their face. So I get a lot of questions about, well, how can I kind of, do the thing without feeling like I have to do all these TikTok dances?
Mm.
I get that question on both ends, on the social media end and on the life coaching end. um, what else? I'm trying to think. What else have people asked me a lot? Deconstructing faith. I have
Mm.
conversations with people about that, which I'm very well versed in myself. Basically, all of the things that have made you who you are, when they start to change, when they start to shift, trying to make sure that those shifts are in alignment with your goals and being there for the fallout or fallback when and if they don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you often find yourself meeting people in sort of big life shifting moments?
Yeah, big time, big time. And I also think it's because of my age range. I
Mm.
think a lot of us who are in my age range, I'm 34, 34, about to be 35 in January. But I think I speak to a lot of people in that age range because of all the stuff that we have witnessed in our lifetime as millennials. Where I think our generation in particular are like trying to forge our own paths. You know,
Yeah.
it's nothing is ever going to be the same as it was like when our parents were coming up and so on and so forth. We're dealing with a lot of different things, and so we're trying to figure out how does it all work. You know, like nobody knows what they're doing. Are we adulting right? I don't know what to do with my hands. You know, like everybody's in that space, and so a lot of people are reaching out like, bruh, I'm spiraling, I don't know, you know. And a lot of us too with the pandemic have had complete life changes. We've had to pivot, so many of us, which means we left careers, we left partners, we left everything that we worked hard to build up into that point. So yes, I get a lot of questions like, I'm riding the wave of all these major changes, some of which I did myself and some of which happened to me.
Yeah.
Help me. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That is completely fair, and I know that we, as a group here today, have all been through a lot of dramatic changes and shifts, especially in a current life. So
Hmm.
that's why I'd like to introduce our very first game here today. It's a little game that we like to call.
And now it's time to play High, Low, Buffalo.
That's right. That's right. We're going to be playing High Low Buffalo. I want to say a special thanks to my husband, Mark Hampton, for doing that little intro.
Mark.
Merk. We're going to be talking about some highs in our life, some lows in our life, and then some completely random stuff like a buffalo that came into our life recently. Speaking of a bit of a buffalo, the fact that she's back here with us and seems to be working for the moment, I would love to start with Marie, if you don't
Yes.
mind.
Oh, I need to say a hi, hello, and a buffalo for
And a
the week.
buffalo. Could be for the week, for just the immediate right now, anything. I know you've got a lot of buffaloes and a lot of lows. But if you want to sum them up in some of your whichever ones you'd like to go, go for it.
Yeah. I think, it's funny because I don't know if I want it, but my high was having a really good interview yesterday. I had a really great work interview, and although I'm not sure if I want the job because I'm really like focused, like I'm putting out into the air remote work.
Yes.
It's still a really cool thing if I do like decide to work there if I get the job, which after that interview I had yesterday, come on, they've got to hire me. um, so I had a great interview, but also the thing about that is interviewing is like a skill, and sometimes if you're out of practice, it's a skill you can easily lose. So I felt like I was kind of back in the game because my last couple interviews have felt like duds. So that was my high.
Well, I can't imagine why you would have any interviews that you would feel a little bit off for any reason. Maybe it's the fact that your apartment burned down.
Rebuilding your life.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a dumpster fire over here. So yeah, that's just kind of like a bit of normalcy. Like, okay, you can do this, you can talk to people about who you are and what you're capable of, and remember that you're capable, which I think is why it feels good. Because like, oh, I can talk about myself and be like, yeah, I can do things and you need me. So that was nice. Low, yes. It's funny. Yesterday I also got a call that my dog's ashes are ready to be picked up. And that was kind of, I don't know. It's like you have these moments where you're like, yay, and then you're like, oh, this call. Yeah. Let me go pick up my ashes of my dog. But I mean, I knew the call was coming a little sooner than I was expecting. They said 2 weeks. So I was like, oh, what are you doing? Not right now. Don't call me.
Not ready to re-grieve this.
Yes. But, and then my buffalo, a random thing. It's not a high or a low. It's just something I'm excited about. So this venue management job I have has a liquor room where everybody goes and drinks. And I found out about it yesterday, and I got to go in there and have some shots with the boys. So I was like, oh, we drink for free here. So that was exciting.
Sure.
What a welcome buffalo.
Yeah.
Maybe a little buffalo trace.
Yeah. Love it.
Oh, that's awesome. That's exciting. Are you excited about this new management stuff? Like, is it working out for you?
Yeah, it's really chill. I get to see a lot of different kinds of events. What I also get to do is every single caterer that comes in has to provide us meals. So I've eaten like all sorts of crazy food since I started working there. And it's been amazing. Last night I had Guatemalan food, which I'd never had before. It was so good. Yeah. And that's, just like, oh, and it was a wedding. So last night. So it was a Chinese person marrying a Guatemalan. So they had a mariachi band, and they had those, those lions that dance in the Chinese New Year parades. Those like the puppets. Yeah. So they had those dancers there. So it was like a crazy night, and it was just so much fun. So I am enjoying it. It's 3 stories high. That's what I don't enjoy, because sometimes I have to walk up and down and up and down and up and down. But at least I'm getting my steps in.
There you go. It's definitely a positive spin on those. I love it. Do they not have an elevator or anything?
Oh, they have an elevator, but that elevator is from the devil. It's like doesn't work half the time. It's just, you don't want to be in it. Like, we just put our equipment in it and send it up and down, and it's for like people with ADA. But I've been in it a couple times and felt like I might not make it out of this elevator. So I stick to the stairs. More. So there you go.
I love it. Perfect high-low buffalo.
Yeah.
Well, Jenae, you're up next. Tell us your high, tell us your low, tell us your buffalo.
Ooh, okay. What's going on? My high. I slept. Yesterday, I logged out of everything. I didn't tell anybody I was doing it. Sorry, clients who are watching, if anyone's watching. But I really needed a break. So I guess that's both my high and my low. Things have been so busy and active and flowing for both the social media side and the life coaching side of SayQuoi. But I'm still just one me. Like, I don't have a team yet. I'm a solopreneur. And I crashed hard. So I just had to, I love the busyness, but the balance has to accompany the busy, right? And I felt hard out of balance the last couple of weeks, just trying to like really, really over deliver for my clients because I care and I really love what I do. But girl, that thing hit me so hard yesterday. And I just was like, okay, I'm just going to eat a little breakfast and I'm just going to sit on the couch, call my sister, like, it's okay. And the next thing I turn on some Great British Baking Show.
Yes.
And next thing I knew, 4 hours later, I woke up and Paul Hollywood staring me in the face. But so that's like my combo high and low. It was just like, I pushed myself a little too hard, maybe. But my clients are happy, everybody's taken care of, and now I can add myself to that list. I was able to take care of myself, and that nap slept, and now I'm like feel like a normal human being again. My buffalo, what's something random? What's my buffalo? I got a new book. Ooh, it's The Other Black Girl. That's like that Hulu show.
That Hulu show. I've been curious to watch that show. How's the book so far?
I haven't started it yet. I'm like,
Okay.
like a little treat, you know what I'm saying? But I don't have Hulu anymore. And in general, I've just been trying to read more. So my best friend, who is a complete bookworm, he and TV person as well. That's why we're best friends. One of the reasons. But he was like, hey, like, I don't know if you still have Hulu, but you need to be watching The Other Black Girl. And I was like, ooh, I don't. He's like, well, maybe the book, you know. So I said, okay, say less. I'll get the book. So that's my first forage back into reading, because I used to be such an adamant, like I used to just inhale books as a kid. And over the years, that has been Taylor swiftly replaced with streaming services. So that's like, yeah, Hello Buffalo, The Other Black Girl. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I don't know about y'all, but like I felt like, especially there's like a time in my late 20s where I just like fell off of reading completely, and I have been slowly over the last decade steadily getting back into reading, and Silo is one of the ones that I've been going for. I'm considering reading Foundation as well, because that was something that former guest had recommended to us, and I really enjoy those products on certain things that I can't talk about too much because of a strike. But speaking of high low Buffalo, for me, high this week was I finally got to go out there on the picket lines and strike with my fellow SAG actors and my fellow VFX artist people, my fellow video game people who are almost in line for striking as well. There's quite a bit going on right now. It was a high to go to those different studios. I went to Warner Brothers on Monday, I went to Sony on Tuesday, and I went to Netflix yesterday. And there is a lot of great like talk in the moment right now that the WGA might be steadily coming to something of an agreement, which as soon as that little domino falls, so many of the other ones do as well. And hopefully that is beckoning good news in the future. So that's my personal high at the moment. Personal low. I had set a thing for Mondays and Wednesdays to not drink, to not do any substances. And this week, not gonna lie, kind of been a crazy week. And I did the age-old excuse, which I know a lot of us can relate to, where it's like, but it's been a week.
There you go.
And then I just like totally destroyed my record for Mondays and Wednesdays and drank a lot of wine this week, which I wasn't super proud of. But it's my first week on hiatus from Amazing Race work, and it's also like there's so much of the like trying to do all the different things and all the different gigs and whatnot have kind of gone by the wayside, and there's not really a lot happening in certain areas. And where I was training and getting ready to do a lot of more motion capture type work is slowing down, and where I was training to do a lot more comedy and physical stuff is slowing down. So the low of it is a bummer, but I do feel like some of these highs are kind of like helping me at least get to a better place, and like maybe just take a good appreciation like yourself, Jenae, of just like taking some time to relax in these sort of slower moments. We actually have a lot of really great questions about that for you as well in the coming. But my Buffalo, oh man, I come up with these things and I never know what I'm going to say. Buffalo, I mean, I guess I'm reading Silo right now. It's a fantastic book series. Highly recommend it. It's a really great show on a network that I won't mention, but it's getting me back into reading, and that I feel like, if nothing else, like in terms of entertainment, when like things are a little bit slow right now and not a lot is releasing, I highly recommend going back to books.
Yeah.
Fair.
Now there's a great show on the Geekscape network that they do book reviews, and it's a book club, so please check that out, y'all. But
now I need to get back into reading. Like I have all these books.
What's the genre of reading that you're into, Marie?
I don't know that there is a genre. I really will read anything. I just have to do it. That's, just got to sit down and do it. Like I've started reading a lot of books like the past, because my partner is a reader. They read a lot. So I start the books, I just don't finish them. And that's what I want to do. I have a Kindle full of books. I know some people have feelings about putting books on Kindles, but I do. And I start them like on an airplane or something, something like that. And then never finish.
And never finish through. Is
Yeah.
it because you don't feel like you have like the time to do it, or is it just like
I've got the time, but it's like when I have the time, I'm watching a show, or I'm playing Fortnite. It's like that's what I do.
I don't know about you, Marie, but for myself, I feel like it's the brain power. Like I expend so much mental energy throughout the day from like 5 a.m. to 4 p.m. And the thought of diving into a story and being sucked into adventure sounds great. But the second I crack open the book, I'm like, like Patrick Star with like this jewel. It just feels like, just like I'm going to sleep. And so I'm trying to fix that, like trying to retrain my brain to still digest information in that way after a long day. Yeah. It's so much easier to like put on a show I've seen a million times and not be comforted in that way. It's just like, like I could just zone out but still be sucked into another world and not have to think about my current world.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And how is it that you yourself kind of schedule your time so as to best like make yourself the most optimal performer within your own businesses versus like what's me time? How do you differentiate those two?
Well, did you not hear me say I crashed this week?
There you go.
We all fail sometimes.
Sometimes it's a struggle. I mean, I find that if other people have stuff going on that I've been invited to, I'm able to better like have a hard stop for stuff. I'm like, oh, so we're going to dinner tonight. Like I have to stop by this time, be ready by this time. If there's nothing going on in that world, then it's back obviously placed upon myself. So I set a lot of alarms. I changed up my contracts quite a bit over the last few months to let clients know, like, hey, don't text me. If and it's like there's certain ways that you can and cannot communicate with me. There's certain times of the day where I have to have a hard stop. Just trying to put those things in motion and make sure it's like written and widely understood. Sometimes I will go beyond that. Like I'll still, respond to something or whatever, but I kind of look at it more as like a courtesy. If I have the capacity to do it beyond what the contract says, then you're welcome. If I don't, it's not something you're entitled to as far as my time and energy goes. So that's kind of how like, I'm very much like a by the book, like a contract alarm setting Capricorn.
Fair enough. Yeah. Fair enough. A excellent comment that we just got in on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us, Van Kurt Music. That says, don't look at it as a failure. Look at it as success for doing for the time you did pause on the wine. Also, assess the why of your drinking. It's not necessarily bad unless it controls you. I think that goes for so many different things that we consider as, something, I know it's bad. But like it's also a little bit of a joy thing too. Like how do you differentiate those things, especially in life goals for yourself, Jenae?
Ooh. Well, it kind of goes back to what Van Kurt Music said. Excuse me. I don't know why I said it like that. Van Kurt Music. Les shop at Target. Eat Gruyere.
By the way, Van Kurt, you're French now, so I hope you enjoy that.
The why is the big standout there. If I'm doing something that I'm good at, but I'm miserable, I have to assess that, or I have to at least like play Tetris a little bit and see where it actually needs to fit in the line of my priorities. A lot of things that I have done over the years have paid me, have made me able to sustain myself, and have made me want to actually like shut the world out and not want to be a member of society. So I had to find like, you know, that middle ground, that weird, uncomfortable spot of like doing what you got to do so you can do what you want to do, you know?
Yeah.
Like finding that bridge until I can just be like, no. And I think I'm getting to a place where I can say no more. I'm like, I have a much more stronger sense of what I bring to the table, I guess. You know, I hate that saying.
It's important though. It's important to know what it is that you can provide and what you don't.
Yeah, exactly. I know exactly what I can do, what I cannot do, and what I will do and what I will not do.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm okay with you not understanding that. I'm not okay with you not respecting that.
Amen. Which inevitably brings me to our next game here, my friends. This is something that Jenae and I talked about for a little bit and seems to coincide with how she coaches folks. So please let me introduce our second game of today. It is...
And now it's time to play Alt Shift Delete.
That's right. Alt Shift Delete. So this is where we're going to take some of the questions that you guys sent in to us. And I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who did contribute to the question.
So good.
It sounds so throaty in that intro. It was all phlegm. Oh my God.
It's great. It was perfect.
It was perfect, Marie. I loved it so much. And I want to say a big thank you to Marie for also helping out with some of these amazing intros that we did today. But Alt Shift Delete, we're gonna bring up some of the questions that you guys sent in. That was specifically, if you could ask a life coach anything, what would you ask? And we got some really vulnerable questions, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for allowing us to have some of these questions. I won't be saying who these came from or anything, but what we're going to do right now is a little bit of an exercise of giving you an alternate option to what it is that you're asking, shifting some of the ideals around this, and deleting the stuff that does not matter. Sort of like recompiling what these questions really are for you all. And fair warning, Jenae and Marie, these are some tougher questions. Okay. So I hope that we can get some really good stuff out of this. But first one up is: my ex-girlfriend went to a life coach that told her to break up with me, and then she did. Why should I listen to you? I was like, okay, spicy, let's go. Let's get into it.
Yeah, that's some habanero right there. That's a great question. That's spicy. Well, I mean, I guess, okay, well, keeping in the game, right? So what are we doing? We're
alternating an alternate view of this question, right. Perhaps giving a different version of what this question is truly asking at its core, shifting sort of some of the beliefs that may have brought out some of that spiciness, and deleting the stuff that like is not useful.
Okay. I have what I call my first brain. I say this on my sessions too with all my clients, my coaching clients, whether it's life coaching or social media content coaching. I listen to my first brain, and when I don't listen to her, things go awry. My first brain says the alternate here is you literally don't have to listen to me. Period. I'm not that life coach. I wasn't there. I don't know your ex-girlfriend. I don't even know you. And so I wouldn't put those expectations upon you or expect you to put those expectations on me. I'm here to help you. So that's the immediate, like, let's shift that. And I'm fine with you not wanting to talk to me or listen to me. I think the bigger question is that choice that she made and the beliefs that you've built up around why she made that choice worth shutting out a potential opportunity for the help that you say that you want? And so my follow-up question then is to, like, what do you want from this? What do you want from a life coach? Do you want to express your feelings? Because you're clearly like, I feel like there's some upset feelings happening that you're attributing to life coaching, which may not actually be beneficial to anyone in this situation. So my thing, without digging at what happened there, my question would be, well, what happened there? Because is the life coach in the room with us right now?
Do you
No.
see the life coach here with you right now?
Are they there right now? So I can completely understand the compulsion, I guess, or the need to be upset at her decision to better herself if it didn't involve a future with you. And I hold space for how hard that had to have hit and how much that hurt.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks. And I'm sorry. For real.
Yeah.
So what I would delete, I guess, is the need to have a scapegoat. Maybe there's some power and some clarity in sitting in the discomfort of why she actually left. Did you ask why she sought a life coach? There's a lot more, I feel, going on there than what's been presented at present. So I would have a lot of questions, but the biggest ones are those. Why do you feel you need to listen to me? You don't. I won't hold you to that. I'm a ridiculous human being a lot of the time. Why was she in life coaching? What was that journey there? What did it have to do with your relationship? Did it have anything to do with you, period? And maybe delete the need for a scapegoat. Sit in that discomfort. Ask yourself those important questions and then see how you feel about speaking to anyone, let alone a life coach.
I'm sorry, but round of applause for that one. If you ever needed a reason to follow Advice Hill on any social media, the answer right there is one of them. Okay, Marie, anything you wanted to add to that?
I think that was a great answer. But I do think it's like, yeah, don't ask a life coach if you don't. It's like that. I think the first comment, like, hey, this is not something for you. Like, you can just leave it at that. I think that, sometimes the best advice is the simplest advice. Like, that's just a no for you, and move on. Because I think we like to comment and make, have people convince us of things sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, that's the thing, is nobody's got energy for that. Nobody has time for that. Do what you got to do.
Right. And it's not like you called your mom after a bad day. Having a life coach is an investment.
Yeah.
So if you're going into this investment, spending your time and spending your money from a place of misplaced emotion, maybe, then you don't serve yourself, and you also don't respect your life coach. You don't respect their time, and you don't respect their energy that they're going to be expending trying to get to the root of the problem, because you're not being honest with yourself about what the problem is.
Yeah.
And that's also brings up another interesting question. One listener asked, how long do you technically spend with a client? Like, is that dependent on the goals, or is that indicative of like what your plan is?
Sure. So the way I have my my coaching structured right now, each session is 45 minutes. And the smallest, I guess, lowest tier of coaching that you can get is, is a month. So a few sessions over the span of a month. And the reason why I don't do one-offs is because of that. It depends on your goal. It depends on where you're at. Say if I were to be coaching with that individual whose question we just answered, we're not going to clear the blockage in 45 minutes and out of a month. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't go to the gym for an hour one time throughout the month and then get results. You know what I mean? So at minimum 3 sessions over the span of a month, for like a monthly recurring situation.
Absolutely. So, and along those lines, we had this is the shorter version of something that I'm gonna bring up. But the first question that came in before this one was, "Can you just do it for me?" Which is
Live your life. I'm not
Live
Rihanna.
uh, hey.
Do it for you, baby.
Do what for you.
I have questions.
There are so many questions, but then similar questions started coming through. That was one of them was, I'm a mother of two. How am I supposed to do all of these things that I'm supposed to do when it feels like my life is sort of being determined for me? So this is a person who clearly has the life of their children set out before them and feels like it's sort of being dictated where they're going, and they don't get to plan their own life. What kind of advice would you have for them?
I want to be delicate because I'm not a mom.
Mm.
I have one and she's wonderful. I have a lot of friends who are mothers, but I am not a mom. So take this with as much a grain, a pound, and however much salt, kosher, pink, Himalayan, whatever you need. But I will say this. Actually, I have a really good example. When I was little, well, let me say this. My parents are musicians, right? And so as long as I can remember, in the house I grew up with, my father had a studio. My room was always adjacent to the studio. And he like soundproofed it and stuff, but I don't have any memory of like not hearing music through the wall, not being surrounded by music all the time. And I know that my parents got flack from other parents. That's too loud for the baby. Blah, blah, blah. And I remember my mom telling me that my dad would be like, that's my child. Like, she's a child. Like, she's going to adapt. And so in that respect, they didn't feel like they had to give up that part of their lives or like crazy adjust it because I was a baby. Like, I had time to grow into that part of their lives. And now it's one of my favorite things about how I grew up. And so my question to this mom of two would be, what is the non-negotiable here that you feel like you gave up? And what does that giving up actually feel like and present itself as? Is it you eating dinner last? Is it you not having time to go on a walk? Is like, what exactly does that mean? Because it may feel differently than it actually is. And are those things actually expected of you? I don't see your small child being like, you can't live your life because I exist. You know what I'm saying? Like, kids want you to determine how they're going to be. Then they don't know that, though. They don't have the verbiage for that. So I guess my thing would be to just sit back into those expectations and see like who's saying that? Where's that voice coming from? Whose voice even is it? Is it even your voice? Is it your mother's voice? Is it your mother-in-law's voice? Who's actually talking to you about these things? And have a conversation with that voice. The world is not going to explode if I put on a sports bra and work out right now. And my child is going to see me taking care of myself. I think that's a giant misconception with moms, especially first-time moms, is that if you do take care of yourself or you spend time for yourself, you're selfish and you're neglecting your child. When in reality, you're showing your child how to take care of themselves. You are the receipts. So again, what is the payoff? Examine your payoff. Is the payoff right now for feeling like you have to try to be super mom working for you? Or could the payoff of microdosing your self-care and being loud about it better than however shitty you're feeling right now?
I'm sorry, but microdosing your self-care is like amazing advice. Oh, that's fantastic.
Well, just like you can't, or you can, but just like it maybe not serve you to go cold turkey on a habit that isn't serving you. Sometimes it's hard to just go balls to the walls to a habit that will. Like, you are relearning that thing. And so it's really not realistic. So that's why I say microdose your self-care, microdose that time, see how it feels. And like I said, don't be shy about it. Be loud about it. Mommy's going for a walk. Do you want to come? Mommy needs to cook. This is how you crack an egg. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm not a mom, but that's how I was raised. I watched my parents involved us in their process. I never felt like I was getting in the way of them being who they wanted to be as human beings. And I think that's why nowadays I can see them as adults in like live people in 3D.
Yeah.
So I would encourage that mom to sit with those concepts, attack that voice, or at least have a conversation with that voice. Identify the voice, have a conversation with it, microdose the self-care and be loud about it, and involve your children in your process. Don't make them feel like they're getting in the way of you being who you were destined to be.
Yeah. Again, fantastic advice. And sort of on that same thread, but on the opposite spectrum, we had a listener that asked, how do I handle my mother's early onset dementia? So again, I wanted to say thank you so much for everyone being so vulnerable with these questions, and making us a part of your life to even speak to any of this. So as opposite as we can get with like, how do we include our kids into the life that we want to lead? What in respect with our parents at older stages of life, how do we also handle that while still maintaining those goals in our own life?
Ooh.
Throwing some big ones at you on this one.
Yeah. I have a little experience with that. Again, stuff I witnessed as like in my coming up, having relatives of relatives and friends of friends, watching them go through that process. And that's tough to say the least. But the belief system around watching a person devolve from like superwoman, superman, super person to whatever that is, that's, I feel, the system of belief, the belief system that has to be nurtured first and then slowly shifted. Because as hard as of a truth as it is, the story ends the same way for all of us. We gonna die. We're going to pass on. And so what happens between now and then, you have to nurture that. That doesn't mean you have to ignore how it makes you feel, but it's happening right now. So again, what is the payoff? Is the payoff of nurturing the unknown, the fear and anxiety of that de-evolution, better than acknowledging that it's going to happen and making the absolute best and most of the moments now in the present? My other question is, what processes do you have in place to help you realize, like, to help you digest what's happening? So if you spent the afternoon with that person who is undergoing this transition, do you have self-care systems in place? Do you journal? Do you phone a friend? Are you in therapy? Like, you need something that helps you live on those two planes where you can be present when you're there, but when it's done, you can acknowledge, holy shit, this is happening. I hate it. You know what I'm saying?
I do. And I think one of the things that, especially when my dad was going through some cancer scare stuff, one of the things that my sister said to me was like, we all have like sort of this like circle of like friendship or family or relationship or something like that. And when we need to dump, we don't dump into the inner circle, we dump out. And so during this whole thing, when my dad was having surgery, we had a woman that was a close friend to the family. Well, I guess to my dad, we had never met her in our life. So when we're sitting there in the hospital waiting for news on like how our dad was doing, and she was telling us about all the things our parents did for her and started dumping on us. And we were like, we're still kind of sitting in the trauma of where our father is right now, and like hoping that things like, there's no need for you to dump into me, into the inner circle of what's happening right now, but dumping to the outer circle, to the people that are not technically attached to it or aren't as close to those types of things, and who amongst those circles of closeness in your friendship are truly in those outer rings, and who is a little bit further, and which section is more appropriate to jump on.
Yeah, and also being mindful of projection. That's I think the core root problem that I would probably delete is, I guess, and that's what I was trying to get at before, was not operating in a space of oh, it's over, like, oh, it's death. Death is not upon you yet. You're letting it feels as though you're letting your fears and anxieties and maybe questions around death and all of the unknown, it's making you race to the finish line. It's projection and protection. That's what it feels like, as opposed to acceptance and being present.
Yeah. Couldn't say that better myself. So
and I feel like I also want to say it's a normal thing, I feel, to have those projections and to be like racing to that finish line. You want to get ahead of it so that you can protect yourself. I'm not saying it's like you're doing a bad job. Like, no, I feel like it's completely normal. But again, I'm always going to reference the payoff. Is the payoff of racing to that finish line and like kind of trying to protect yourself against this great unknown better and bigger than dealing with having your self-care systems in place, having your support systems in place, and calling people in the present? What is working for you and what is not? And give more time and energy into what is working for you. You don't want the memories that you make right now going to be memories of you trying to like pad the walls and protect your heart and protect yourself in that way that isn't paying off for you. You want the memories to be of like, oh, we took dad to the park today. Oh, like dad tried to eat ice cream and it didn't work out. Or like, like we did living room karaoke. Like, make those memories, because the other part is coming whether you're ready for it or not.
Yeah.
Marie, does that hit home for you a little bit?
Yeah, it is. I just think the moments I remember are just the last talks I had with my dad. So I tried to have as many as possible. It was difficult because he was very sick and didn't want to do a lot of talking. But it's all those last conversations really stick in my head and my brain. So because I knew when else I'm not going to be able to have these anymore. So let's just go and let's talk about it. Or just sometimes he got really obsessed with food shows in the end. And it's funny because now that's become something that like comforts me. But sometimes it was just sitting and watching those with him and like, Dad, why are you into this? Like, he's into I don't know if you ever watched a show where there's 4 brides and they all compare each other's weddings. It's a really funny show.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it all comes down to the catering. And he was really serious about the show. And he was like, he's like, they look like they have horrible food there. So it was just a funny thing to watch with him on a regular basis. And yeah, I think knowing that this is all, death is inevitable, it's important to have the conversations, have the good times, and make the good memories when you can.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't make their final days about you.
Yeah.
There you go.
They just want you there. Watch the show.
And that is the key. And I feel like there are certain aspects or certain friendships where it can be about you. It can be about your experience. It can be about like how you deal with this. But with that person who is going through it, I feel like there has to be a little bit of a separation. Which leads me to our last and final game, my friends. This game, we can take anybody, any examples, any questions or anything like that, or anybody in here at the moment. But I would like to play a little game that we call, once I find
Can't wait to see this
thing.
intro.
I'm just still going with it. I'm going so hard with it. Did I not add it to my assets? Where did it go? I'm trying to find it, but it is a little game that we call.
And now it's time to play unadulterated positive pep talk. That's right! Unadulterated positive pep talk! This is where we're gonna go hard on the pep talk. All right, we're gonna bring the examples from other people, perhaps maybe some of the questions. If you have a comment or something in the chat, you want a positive pep talk, we're here for you.
Pump it up.
So let me just start it off. Real quick before I lose my voice drinking my tea. But for that person who was asking about, how do I deal with my mom's early onset dementia? Well, buddy, you're dealing with it. You're doing a damn good job at the moment because you're asking for outside help. You're not just asking yourself and trying to go on your previous track record. You're trying to make a positive spin on life, and that's a great goal.
You're doing amazing. You're doing an amazing job. I'm sure she's proud of you. I don't want to hear anything else.
Love it.
Bree, you're up next.
You're fucking surviving, dude. You got this fucking shit. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah. I mean, look, until Matt Kelly breaks in here and tells us to stop, go ahead and say whatever you want.
You're awesome.
May I just say to the effect of
you're a mom of 2? That's incredible. I have 2 cats, and that's a lot for me to handle at the moment. I don't know how you're raising 2 children. That's insane. Good for you. You know what? The fact that you're even living your life right now is pretty freaking amazing. So keep rocking it, because you're doing a great job.
You literally shot out 2 human beings. You can do anything. You can do anything. Don't you doubt yourself for help. So help me out reach through this screen.
Is there anybody else who needs an unadulterated positive pep talk out there? I think perhaps our good friend Maria over here has been the person that we've talked about most lately on the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast. Has gone through quite a bit of shit. So may I just say,
you're doing a freaking amazing job. Are you kidding me? You got a whole new place that you're living in. You got all of your pets that have still survived in the same spot, and they're in a better spot. You may be feeling like this is the craziest couple of years, but you're still living through it, bitch. Congratulations. You're killing it.
Marie, you go through hell. You don't stop. You don't stop in the middle of hell. You keep going. You're a fighter.
You
were in a boxing ring between. If you were in a boxing ring with Solange, I would still bet on you. She whooped Jay-Z's ass in an elevator.
She sure
You're
did.
here.
I'll take that. That's a compliment.
if you were in a cage match with Solange, I would bet on you.
I'm dying.
Don't die. Marie, is there anyone that you would like to unadulterate?
I don't know. I've gone blank.
That's okay. That is okay. It's hard on the lungs and the vocal cords to do the unadulterated positive pet talk. But folks, if you want to listen to more unadulterated positive pet talks, or if you want to have some great advice, please check out Jenae's website. You can check her out at advicehill.com. You can also keep up to date with Marie and I and the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast. We just want to say thank you so much to everybody who watched today, who participated, who commented. Van Kurt Music, shout out to you. Everybody who sent us in questions, like, thank you so much for being so vulnerable with us and trusting us with all this information. Is there anything that you guys are looking forward to in this coming week that you'd like to talk about?
Marie.
Well, I think I talked about it on the podcast recently, but I am stage managing for Folsom Street Fair.
Amazing.
And it's going to be interesting. It's a big kink leather festival in San Francisco, so some things will be happening. So that's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Nice.
And Jenae.
Next, well, what's going on? I have been in a lot of conversations. Speaking of Advice Hill, one of the things I really want to do with Advice Hill is uplift small businesses. So it's my goal to either help small businesses like sell their products or feature their products in sessions. So I just bought a bunch of candles from some Black and brown owned small businesses that have like lavender scents to kind of go with the lavender theme of Advice Hill. I already used a couple on some sessions. It's really nice to like wind down with a little bit of a saging and a cleansing of like the energy. So big picture, I'd love to be able to be like, this is the candle I used in session, like get the candle. So for next session, we can light it together and have that experience. And that also, you know, gives that boost to that business and is a mutually beneficial relationship. So like I have conversations coming up in that vein. There's other people who have reached out who want to collaborate and work with me. So I'm really excited on that end business-wise. Personally, yesterday, there's all the men in my life are either like Virgos or Libras. So all the birthdays are happening right now. So my best friend's birthday was yesterday. We're celebrating today with an all-out fall day. We're having a girly pop fall day. Gonna make some pumpkin gnocchi and watch burlesque. Oh yeah.
That sounds amazing.
My dad's birthday is on Monday. So there's lots of like celebrating happening in the next few days that I'm really excited about.
I'm really excited for you. And then as for myself, I have a trash truck that just decided to come right now, which feels like every single day, no matter what time I'm recording anything, there has to be something loud outside. So apologies for that. Shout out to the waste management teams. I as always, will be performing with Nothing Burger at the Pack Theater every first and third Wednesday of the month. If you're in LA, please catch a show. We'd love to have you out there. We also have a couple of great episodes coming up on the podcast for the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast. If you're not familiar with us, we are a podcast on the Geekscape network. Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you who are still watching, there are plenty of great shows. Anything that you're geeky about, whether it's therapy or fun life drama, or if it's different things like TV shows that you're super geeky about, whatever the case, you'll probably find a really good show on the network about it. So please check out Napping Through Happy Hour. And also, speaking of small businesses, my friend is opening a karate studio in the Los Angeles area, and we're very excited. And I'm about to go hang out with them and see how all that fun is getting started. So I'm just very thankful for you all for coming here today, and for all my great friends who are doing so many great businesses in the world. Please, if you get the chance, follow Jenae on TikTok, Instagram, wherever at Advice Hill or Jenae SayQuoi. And check out advicehill.com. Thank you guys so much for joining us here today. Please remember, the universe is utter chaos, so please be kind. Is there anything that you guys want to leave the audience with, Marie or Jenae?
This is actually a plug. Mother Tongue Coffee and Bar. It's a bar as well, which is excited. Next to my house, has the best mochas that I've ever tasted. They're perfect.
I love their branding too.
Yeah, it's so good. And they make little designs on the top. That's all it takes to get me. Make a little design. I'm sold. Maybe we can get them to sponsor the podcast, because I walked straight there this morning. I just like put on the clothes and walked out my door and got my coffee. It was great.
I love it. I love it. We'll slap it on a t-shirt.
There you go.
Jenae, any parting advice for the listener?
Yeah. Again, thank you both for having me on yet again. I love being here. I love being in this space with both of you. And thank you everyone who joined and listened. Thank you for everyone who submitted questions and asked advice. Just again, piggybacking off what Katie already said. But I always like to end my sessions, like I said, I like to cleanse the space, just pretend I'm saging you, doing some spiritual stuff, making you feel yummy inside. And I like to tell my clients, listen, you have everything already at your behest and within your reach and within your power to change your life, to be the person that you see yourself 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now. And you took that first step today, and you're going to take another step tomorrow. And I'll be here in the interim. Make the most of the interim, but always remember you have everything you need to do all of the things that you want and to be the best version of yourself. And I don't take being a part of that journey lightly. So thank you. That's how I like to end my sessions. And that's what I'd like to say.
I love it. I love it. Slap that on a t-shirt. I love it. You guys, thank you again so much for joining us here at the Napping Through Happy Hour podcast. We'll talk to you later.